Greetings here from Southern Michigan. Again, this is David Yoder speaking, and you have seen pictures or videos of our family and different videos about me, but where is the wife in all these videos in the family ministry here? So today we would like to present some pictures, and the picture that you are looking at right now is of Norma. Her name is Norma. Used to be Lyman, now Yoder. This is a picture in the Ligonier Elementary School in Ligonier, Indiana. And this would have been back in 1998 and 1999, and she would have been grade 3. And so a cute little picture of her there. And now what you're looking at is her home place. She would have been the age of 6 when they moved to this place. And so this is where I actually met Norma. This is where I would have met Norma weekends, and would have gone from there. So yes, this place has a lot of memories. And then from there, another beautiful picture of Norma when she was 17, and we wouldn't have been in the Amish, as far as a part of the Amish church at this time, but the reason why she dressed this way was because of my oldest brother's wedding. And so we had to, make it look legit, to make it feasible to, that they would, say that it's okay to be a part of this wedding that we had partaken of. And then you'll see this other picture here. It gives you kind of a picture of our running around days, or if you want to say rumspringen. I can honestly say we're not proud of the doings that we were part of or partakers of in our rumspringen years, but it just goes to show you. Yeah, we were part of the party crowd, I guess you would so to speak. So yeah, we were in alcohol, and honestly, I can say we weren't in any kind of drugs. But I guess looking at the whole picture or scenario, it's really one isn't better than the other. But yeah, we were in tobacco, alcohol, all these things. But you know what? The end result was, all of these things never brought or fulfilled that void inside of us. Thankful the Lord was merciful and long-suffering, and I thank God today where we are at today. And here's another picture of us. This is actually of the wedding that we had partaken of in my oldest brother, in his wedding. And we look pretty young there, I would say. So I'd have been 18 and she'd have been 17 in this picture. So this is a little bit about who I married, and as time goes on, we'll share a journey. But this gives you a picture of how she looked when she was a little girl, and what she transpired into a beautiful young lady. And the first time I met, or noticed her, I knew it was the one. She melted my heart. So a little bit about our background here, and I would like to turn the time over to Norma, and she can share a little bit of her upbringing, and we'll go from there.
Hi everyone, so this is Norma. I am a very happy wife of David, and very blessed to be his wife and have the children that we have, the life that the Lord has blessed us with. Anyway, so I'm going to share a little bit about growing up. I lived all my growing up years in Indiana, northern Indiana. I was born in Goshen Hospital. I have a twin brother, 10 minutes older than me. And we lived on I think, a county line road when I was born. Excuse me. And then we moved, I think, when I was a couple years old, and that place I remember, we moved away from there to the place where David showed earlier when I was 6. So I remember a couple years in the place where we lived. It was a long driveway back. I remember have some good memories from there. My mom babysat some young children, and so I remember some of those times. Also remember some scary times, and I dealt with a lot of fears as a little girl. Had some nightmares. I think that can be a fairly typical thing, but for children, young children as they're growing up. But anyway, I remember those. That's one thing that stands out. But anyway, and then we moved when I was 6 years old, and my parents bought bare land, and they built all those buildings that, were in the picture. That was all the fruit of the labor of my parents and whatever help they all had over the years. I know they had a construction crew for the first buildings that were put up, but the attached shop to the house, I don't remember. Don't remember all the details of that, but I know we helped more with that. We were older by then. But anyway, we moved down there when I was 6, and I started school that year. We moved down there in May, and then I started school that fall. And we went to public school, West Noble School, and was there from 6 years old. I really enjoyed school. I have a lot of good memories in school. And I've told my daughters if I would have been as obedient at home all the time as I was in school, my mom and dad would have had an angel on their hands. But anyway, I did not want to get in trouble in school, and so I was pretty quiet, I think. And I enjoyed school. I got good grades. So anyway, I was in public school from 6 years old to 9. Okay, it was from kindergarten to 3rd grade. And then some of the Amish families in the neighborhood really did not want to send their children to the middle school, which was from 5th grade to 8th grade. And so they decided to build an Amish schoolhouse in our neighborhood, as there was none close enough to really be convenient to go to. So my dad gave up a couple acres of his property and about a quarter mile down the road from us. And so my 4th grade year was a huge transition, because we went from public school to Amish school. And before we had moved, my oldest 2 siblings had actually gone to Amish school a couple years. My brother, I think maybe 1 year, and my sister 2 years. But I remember going to that Amish school a couple days for preschool. Had fun, but I definitely didn't have a lot of memories with an Amish school yet. So my 4th grade year, it was a huge transition. There were some challenges along the way, but overall I had a pretty good experience. The biggest transition was just the curriculum change, but we were already very acquainted with the other children that went there, because we were all in the same neighborhood. And so the only new people we met was the new teacher. The first year we had 1 teacher. The second year we had, all the other years that I was there, we had two teachers. And it was a 1-room schoolhouse, and we had a curtain down the middle of the room to divide the 2 classrooms. And then each teacher had at least 3 or 4 grades, depending if there was children in every grade, in all 8 grades or not. And there were a couple years where we had maybe none in 1 grade or so, but typically there was at least 1 student in almost every grade. And so from 4th grade to 7th grade, so 4 years, we went to Amish school. And there were some issues that arose, and Mom and Dad just decided to send us back to the public school. I'm not going to go into detail. It was hindsight. It's good to have parents and teachers to have open communication, but also because we were Amish, there was always the man-made commandments and the traditions that caused issues. Our church district didn't have everything the same, or wasn't as strict in some areas as the teachers that they had hired. And so the biggest things were just actually small issues that kind of got blown up and caused some offenses and misunderstandings. And anyway, so my mom and dad decided to send us back to public school. And so my 8th grade year, I was back in public school. That was my only year experiencing middle school. I had a good experience. It was a little more uncomfortable to get thrown back into that system after being in a one-room schoolhouse for 4 years. And the middle school obviously was bigger than the elementary had ever was when I went there. So my 8th grade year was my last year of school. And so that summer I got a job at a coffee shop. It was in the back of a pharmacy in Topeka, Indiana. It's still there. But anyway, I worked there at the coffee shop from, I think it was right around a year. And then I went to a factory. It was a trailer house factory called Redmond. I don't think that name's around anymore at all. But anyway, there's another factory in that same building now. But anyway, I enjoyed my job there. I was what they call the hill girl. So I had the last cleaning to do before the trailer houses went out in the yard. Worked on a group of Amish and non-Amish combined. And I started having ankle issues, like getting sore heels, especially my right foot. Started really dealing with a lot of pain in my ankle, my heel. And so I finally quit that job. I would have to jump in and out of the trailer houses all day long. And I say all day long, but my hours that I worked, I think the highest amount we did was maybe 8 trailers, so it wasn't like I was up and down. But anyway, it was, just the impact and being on the cement so many hours. I was obviously in the trailer a lot as well, but yeah, I was dealing with inflammation. And so I finally, I quit there. I don't remember how long I was there, but then I went to a place right in the town of Ligonier, about 3 miles from where we grew up, or where I grew up. And there I made seats, chair seats for factories. So I was, again, on my feet all day. And it kind of came and went, my ankle pain. But it, again, finally caused me to quit that job. And then from there, I went to a place in Topeka that was called Snacks in Packs. And I cooked fudge by the kettleful. And every one of my jobs, I enjoyed the experience, enjoyed the opportunities, the opportunities to meet new people. I've always been a people person, so that part was always enjoyable for me. And then also just getting the experience of doing different things. I'm guessing, I would say, out of all the jobs, the coffee shop and then the place where I made the chair seats was, as far as the jobs go, was probably my favorite places. So from the Snacks and Packs, or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe I went to Snacks and Packs and then the place down in Ligonier. I don't remember even. But anyway, and then my last job before, let's rewind here a little bit. After I was out of school, I turned 16 then, when I was in Redmond, working in Redmond, I think. And so then started my Rumspringa years, and I do have a lot of regrets in those years, but I also do have some good memories. I had some of the friends, had a good little group of friends, my sister, and then some of the girls that she had gotten to know after she turned 16. And so from there, a whole new world opened up for me. And we would, a typical routine of being 16 or older was during the week you had your job, and then Friday night, not always Friday night, but oftentimes Friday night you did something with someone, usually your group of friends. that you hung around with most. And then Saturday night you would do what we called sitting up. And this will be way new, this will be new terms for those of you that didn't grow up Amish. But so the group of us girls that was our group of friends, we would get together at one of our places. We would take turns, and we would have beer, pop, candy, snacks, and then usually card games and some other games. One game that we really got into after, I don't know, was I 17, 18? It wasn't immediately after I was 16, but it was a couple years after. A really big thing that hit was beer pong, and I'm sure some other people that'll watch this are familiar with that, and then there's some that might not be. But beer pong was a game where you would put 10 glasses in a triangular shape and fill each one with a little bit of beer, and then you would throw these ping pong balls, and every time you got the ball in a cup, your opposing team members had to drink what was in that cup, and so whoever won. But anyway, so that, yeah, don't play the game. I'm warning you, it's not worth it. But anyway, so we, a typical weekend was Saturday night. We would be at whoever's turn it was, and then young men would come and what they called cruising, and they would go to the different spots where ladies were sitting up, and just kind of they would take turns visiting. It was wherever they chose to go, whoever they wanted to hang out with, that's where they went. And typically, the guys would go to more than one place in a Saturday night. They would kind of make their round. And then if there happened to be a party going on, if a private party, you had to be invited. A public party, if you knew about it, you got to go. And so when the parties happened, we had our, some of the girls that were in our group, they had some brothers that had vehicles and their buddies, and so they would ask us to jump in with them, and we'd go, and we often came up to Michigan parties. In those days, in our partying sinful days, the Michigan parties were the best. We did have some good friendships that we established. But definitely not in the environment that would have been best for us. It was not a godly environment at all. And I am so thankful that our children get to, hopefully with prayer and with guidance and with the truth of the Word of God, they will definitely get to experience a different route. And so so that was a typical Saturday night. We often didn't get to bed until after 2. Sometimes it was pretty much an all-nighter, and then we would sleep until Sunday noon, or sometime in the forenoon, late forenoon. Sometimes it went till 12 o'clock, and then you'd lounge around and eat snacks or junk food, or sometimes, we'd make breakfast as well, but oftentimes breakfast foods. And then Sunday night, you do the same thing, except it wasn't as much of a partying thing Sunday nights. It was mostly just a couple hours of visiting, and then we'd have to get home to bed before too late because most of us had to go to work the next day. So that was, and it was just a repetitive thing of, wow. Anyway, such a sad state to be found and to live in. And for any of you, if there's any of you that are in that right now and you long for something different, more fulfilling, there's definitely more. You can make a different choice, and there's way better things to do than fill your body with destructive alcohol and cigarettes. And for those of you that are in drugs, there's different options, and I would encourage you to seek out those options. Seek the Lord, and He will honor your cry to Him for something different, something better. I was 16, almost 17, when I had my first date with David. And it was actually a Christmas Eve. I think it was on a Christmas Eve, or maybe a New Year's Eve when we had our first date. But anyway, that would have been, it was during the winter. But anyway, we had our first date. I was definitely on cloud nine. We actually have a little backstory to that. Maybe we'll share that sometime together. But I had noticed him. I don't remember. I mean, I remember when I first noticed him, but I think it was like the springish. It was at his cousin's wedding, the first time I saw him. And I thought, wow, he's pretty good looking. He's cute. But anyway, and he was definitely on the quiet side. And that was one thing that attracted me to him, is he would typically just kind of stand back and kind of observe and just take everything and everyone in. He didn't have to be the center of attention and trying to make a name for himself. He was, on the quiet end, and that I saw that. That was attractive to me. And so I was 16. We ended up dating it was too long, actually. Hindsight, both of us were like, it was plenty long, but we were also both young. But anyway, we married at 20 then, so it would have been, I think, right around 3 years until when he asked me to marry. And then we had to schedule out like a whole year, just because of the way we do weddings. We have to rent a cook wagon and all that stuff, so you have to book it way out. And so when we joined church, the partying definitely slowed down and then completely stopped. And we ended up, our overall lifestyle changed a little bit as well. Like during our weekends, we wouldn't do the partying thing nearly as much. And then we stopped when he joined church. And then we would sometimes go to what they called singings, Sunday evenings up here in his area, or in this area where we live now. The youth would come together in the evenings and sing songs and eat supper, and then maybe play volleyball or something together. And so that's what we did in that last year or so before we got married. I did have one other job. My last job that I had before I married, then I think I worked there for about a year, was at a grocery store in Topeka, Indiana. One of my younger sisters worked there, was working there when I started then, and so I was there about a year, and quit when we were getting ready for our wedding. And then I filled in a little bit for somebody that needed to. My boss asked me if it would work out, and so I filled in, and for a couple of weeks, I think. And then I was done with working outside of the home, because I've been a homemaker all my years since being married, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So with that, I think I'm going to leave it at that for today. And we will continue in the near future here and share more.